All right, let's jump right into something that's both super fascinating and honestly a little bit scary, the vulnerability of AI. We're trusting AI with more and more, critical stuff every single day. But how do we know it's actually seeing the world correctly? Today, we're going to break down a massive challenge in AI safety and a really cool new solution that might just be a game changer.
So, picture this. An autonomous car is cruising down the street. Up ahead, there's a stop sign. Looks totally normal to you and me. But what if a tiny, almost invisible tweak was made to that image, something no human would ever spot, that made the car's AI see a speed limit 80 sign instead? Yeah, that's not sci-fi. That's a real and very serious problem called an adversarial attack. So how does this even work? Well, attackers can inject these super carefully designed, nearly invisible bits of noise into an image. It's so subtle, our eyes just glance right over it. But for an AI, that tiny change is enough to flip its entire understanding of what it's seeing. All of a sudden, a picture of a panda becomes a gibbon. Or worse, a medical scan of a totally benign spot gets classified as cancerous, all because of these tiny, malicious little changes. And look, this isn't just some quirky computer science puzzle. Think about what this means in the real world. A self-driving car blowing through a stop sign. An AI assistant giving a doctor a wrong analysis of a chest X-ray. A fraud detection system getting completely fooled. In these high-stakes situations, just one of these attacks could be absolutely catastrophic.
Okay, so how do we protect our AI from this? Well, for a long time, the people building these defenses have been stuck between a rock and a hard place. It's this thing called the defender's dilemma, where you basically have to choose between two different strategies, and neither one is perfect.
On one side, you've got what are called empirical defenses. The best way to think about these is like a heavyweight boxer who's trained to block specific punches. They are incredibly tough against attacks they've seen before. But the moment a new, clever attack comes along, one they haven't trained for, it can get right past their guard. Then, on the other side, you have certified defenses. These are more like a super strict security guard who follows a rulebook to the letter. They give you mathematical, provable guarantees of safety, but only within very specific limits. They can be way too cautious, and sometimes that makes the AI less accurate and worse at its actual job.
And the result of this dilemma? We've been trapped in this endless, frustrating game of cat and mouse. A defender builds a new defense, an attacker finds a clever way to break it, and the whole cycle just starts right back up again. We've been forced to choose: be strong but fragile, or be provably safe but maybe not so smart.
But what if we didn't have to choose? What if we could have the best of both worlds? This is where a brand new breakthrough comes into the picture, a totally new approach that doesn't make you pick one or the other. It's called HiCAS.
HiCAS, at its core, is a hybrid. It's a really smart idea. It takes that stable, predictable foundation from the security guard approach, and then it mixes in a dose of strategic, controlled randomness. You can think of that randomness as making the AI a constantly moving target. It becomes incredibly difficult for an attacker to land a punch, because they can't predict exactly how the AI is going to react. It's this fusion that creates a defense that is both provably safe and empirically strong in the real world. So here's the basic recipe for how it works. First, HiCAS builds that stable foundation. It uses a mathematical principle that just ensures that small tweaks to an image will only lead to small, predictable changes in the AI's thinking. That's the security guard part. Step 2, it adds that strategic randomness. It actually injects a bit of controlled noise inside the AI's brain, making it that unpredictable moving target. That's the clever boxer part. And finally, step 3, it fuses them together, intelligently combining these two strategies to create something way stronger than either one could be on its own.
Okay, that all sounds great on paper, right? But the big question is always, does it actually work? Well, the researchers put HiCAS through its paces, testing it against all the other top defenses on some really tough challenges, especially on medical images, where a mistake is simply not an option. And wow, the results speak for themselves. Let's just look at certified accuracy for a second. That's the number that represents the rock-solid mathematical guarantee of safety. On this really critical NIH chest X-ray dataset, the very best defense before this got to 34.1%. HiCAS blew past that, hitting 41.4%. Now let's really look at what that jump means.
See, this isn't just a tiny little improvement. This is a massive leap, a huge step up in our ability to actually prove, with math, that an AI system is safe from these kinds of attacks.
That's a 7.3% boost. In a field like medical diagnosis, a jump like that is absolutely huge. We're not just talking about numbers on a chart, we're talking about a major step forward for building AI we can actually trust with our health.
But remember, HiCAS is a hybrid. It's not just about those theoretical guarantees. It's also a brawler. It held up against the really powerful practical attacks that a real-world hacker would actually use. In those tests, it boosted what we call empirical robustness by over 3%. So it's got the rulebook down, and it can also take a punch.
So let's zoom out. What does all this really mean for the future of AI? Well, this isn't just about a slightly better model. This is about a fundamental shift in how we can build AI to be trustworthy from the ground up. And that's more important now than ever, as these systems get woven into the fabric of our lives.
By finally breaking out of that old cat and mouse game, HiCast gives us a new playbook for creating AI that's genuinely resilient. This could directly lead to things like safer self-driving cars, more dependable AI assistants for doctors, and financial systems that are much harder to cheat. It's about building systems we can actually count on when it really, really matters.
At the end of the day, HiCast is a really powerful new answer to one of the biggest questions we're facing in technology. As AI gets smarter and smarter, the challenge of making sure it also stays safe and reliable is only going to get bigger. Breakthroughs like this aren't just nice to have. They are absolutely essential for a future we can all trust.